Greetings, guys. Welcome back to my channel. My name is Monette, and this is my channel, Evolve with Monette. And we are on location. So good to be here with you, but most importantly, so good to be here with you. I have my special guest today,
Monique.
Miss Monique. And Monique is a content creator, travel high priestess, magical cosmic angel, and so many other things. She has a channel here on YouTube. I want you guys to go check her out. You will be inspired. It is Momo's Happy Place.
Yes, thank you so much for being here with me today.
Yeah, yeah. So go check out her work and be inspired as she travels all over this amazing world and gives you tips and some very inspirational pictures and little moments and vignettes into her life as she does that. I am so grateful because Miss Monique has been able to be here with me and share a really cool experience. And I have made another video. You guys can go watch that. We'll get more in full. But one of the things that we wanted to talk about as we were kind of decompressing is spinning the block. It's a subject that is something that comes up for all of us, and Miss Monique has been going through a period of that. We'll just shorten this, Momo and Momo. Okay, so this is, some of you guys have actually seen us connect here. So this is a fabulous part of when parasocial goes to actual reality. Like, we've jumped into the reality of being friends. And so what I want to talk to you about is the parasocial. Well, not just parasocial, but maybe sometimes spinning the block can happen that way too. Yeah, people do spin the block by stalking your social media. That's like a whole thing. But what I want to talk to you about is how you handle that. So let's talk about what spinning the block is. So first of all, that is when you have a breakup with someone or an ending of a relationship, and after some time elapses, they inevitably come back around. So a lot of us can relate to that with exes. We can relate to that happening specifically in Mercury retrogrades. That's a huge time for exes or for things that have yet to come to a point of resolution to get brought back up to be resolved. Momo, you've been a period of experiencing several block spins, and they've been really impressive. Momo has shared some of them with me. The one that really struck me was the platonic one with a sorority sister. Can you tell us a little bit about that experience? And then I'll definitely jump in with some questions.
Yes. Basically, this happened maybe about 15 years ago or so. I went through a betrayal with a friend who was my best friend at the time. And basically, it was heartbreaking in the sense that I didn't realize that, best friends can really betray you in all nefarious kinds of ways. But in the end of the whole situation, I chose to still do my part and be kind after knowing everything that happened and finding out all the secrets and things of that nature. And I could have absolutely went in many different directions of being petty and trying to basically outcast her or to make her feel like the demon or the bad guy, whatever the case may be. Or I could have just pretty much said, you know what, I'm just going to let it go. And at the end of this, I said, we're not going to be friends the same way anymore because the pain was just too much to like be able to go back. And so I basically still treated her with kindness after knowing, and still said I was just going to basically be kind and really just really be compassionate, because that can be basically the thing that makes everything better in the long run. And I kind of find that out years later by me not doing the most or trying to get back and get revenge and be petty. I just allowed the universe to basically work its karmic magic and do whatever it needs to do. And that basically meant like they're going to feel what it is that they did to you. That's just in any forms, good, bad, or evil. So I felt like for me, it's just better to just be on the kinder side, the more friendly, amicable side, than to really always try to feel the need to exercise pettiness in that sense. And then by me kind of just letting the situation go, she came back around years later, basically saying, how she messed up and she was wrong and couldn't imagine doing that to a friend. And it's because she went through that situation, in a similar situation in her own reality, separate from me, which is how she managed to actually do the work and get the courage to come back and to really like share with me what was going on with her life, and the reason as to why she felt like the struggles of life was really hitting hard was because something wasn't sitting right with her spirit of the way she was treating her friend that she called her best friend. So
Yes, and when I got to see, this woman has gone on to develop a relationship with Christ. She's really, strengthened her Christianity. This is the ex Soro of Momo. And when I went on to see the part where she wrote, it was so cathartic and healing for me. And so I wanted to share that with you guys specifically because she said, you know, I saw my actions maybe from above herself to some degree. And she thought, how could I treat someone the way that I've hated being treated, the way that it broke me to be treated? I love this person. She was really candid about her love for Monique and the fact that she recognized the merit of their friendship, the goodness, and the fact that Monique gave to her selflessly over and over again. And she calculatingly and cunningly plotted to take from her, knew she was doing it, had self awareness, but just was too selfish to care at the time. And so that's one of the things that I think is an important component of allowing a block spin, which we're going to talk about. Should you allow that to happen? Has the person done their work? So when we go into AA programs, we have people that are recovering from whatever their addiction is. And one of the steps is to make right or make amends with people that you've injured in your addiction. And that is a later step because it's important for you to spend some time doing the work of sobriety, whatever that means to you. And so in this case, the addiction for the Sora was to be cunning and to be catty and to be manipulative. So she was addicted to this toxic, low vibrational, competitive Five of Wands, if you read tarot behavior, tower moments, all of that. She wanted to bring them in for her friend, not knowing that they would spin the block on her. Let's talk about that. What you give out will come back to you, good, bad, or indifferent. The universe is no respecter of persons, personalities, or personas. Whether it's a mask, whether it's your real energy, you will get back what you've given. And she did get back what she gave to my sweet Monique, but she got it back in ways that took her breath away and not for the better. To this day, she still struggles with not having situations pan out in her life, and she correlated it in the letter very much to what she did to Monique all those years ago. And that's why it was so powerful, and I wanted to bring that to you because how many of us will never get that letter? And I have situations in my own life where I was so anti the block spin that I I did what I had taught y'all to do, and I walk it like I talk it. But even I have moments of assessment that Miss Momo has been helping me reevaluate, where I made it so that it would be impossible for someone who betrayed me in the way that broke my heart to spin the block. I was like, you can't reach me by trailway, by railway, by angel, by nobody. Jesus himself would have to literally light on fire in front of me before I ever talk to you. And that's a conversation that came up between us recently that really got me to thinking. And she thought, well, what would it take for that person to be able to spin the block? And I said something about being like an octogenarian. And she was like, okay, so we're writing that down. The universe has got a note. 82, we'll send him your way. But sometimes you won't want to let somebody kind of come back in that's hurt you that way. Do I feel the same way I did when it happened initially? No. Do I feel as vitriolic and as self-protective? No. Sometimes you will be guided to do that, and it is accurate. But in this case, and this is one where I give a lot of grace because you know how they say all of these objectives need to be met? The girl was doing her own work. Time and distance had elapsed between them and between the betrayals. They had both grown up and evolved. Children had come into the picture, marriages, new careers, new travel for this one, all kinds of interesting things. So there had been enough time that's passed where everything was met, where it was the ideal block spin. And because the person spinning the block, meaning the betrayer, the Judas in that archetype in that moment, and mind you, this sweet empaths and earth angels, we all will be someone's villain or Judas. So we're not just like pontificating from the mount of we fixed it and figured it out. We're not over here on Mount Piety. We've hurt people's feelings. We've had to spin blocks and say sorry. So we've had to acknowledge where we stepped out of line or where we were involved in petty low vibrational stuff. Each one of us watching has been that person. But because we are empaths more often than not, we have dealt with those people. And so I remember what I felt like when I was the person that would need to have written a letter like that to Monique. What was my motivation for acting out, or what was my maturity level or age? You know, just think back about that for yourself before you're too judgmental on the Judas. It's easy if you're in the thick of battle initially in a breakup of any kind. Girl, hate them. It is your survival. But eventually we have to come to the point where you can start to look at them more humanely. And that's why I think that this was facilitated. It was a healing moment for me. And that's the reason that Monique is here specifically regarding this conversation. It was because I shed a few tears when I read it. And I shed tears for all of you out there that will never get that letter. I shed tears for myself who wouldn't allow, because I was in no space. I've been so deeply hurt that I couldn't even allow that person to come and say a word to me. It had to be that they were the devil and I was like cutting their throat out every day. Like that's the only way I can process it. Sometimes she'll be like that about somebody that tried the shit out of you, okay? So but when I read that letter all these years later, you see what I mean? Time is a great healer for you. It puts you at an advantage and it gives you a better strategy for how to handle it. But when I read it, because God had worked on my heart, I heard my Judas's voice trembling, saying, "Why did I treat you this way?" It broke my soul open. And it allowed me for another layer of forgiveness for her that I didn't even think I had in me. Girl, Miss Momo over here pushing me to greater heights. Because I was like, fuck this bitch for life. Y'all know me. Y'all watch the videos. You know. I was like, for life. Forever, ever, forever, ever. Leo meant that. However, the compassion that was allowed, because Momo allowed it, because she was wise and she was more mature than me. She is younger than me, but she is more mature than me. In this way, I always tell her, I'm like, girl, you're a better person than me because she allowed it. I don't know that I would have done the same. But because of that, someone here today will hear those words and know that if your person is doing any level of work, they feel the same way about you. They know that they broke your heart. They know what it's like to have their heart broken. And they don't know why they did it to someone who was as good as you were. So you need to hear that. I feel like we're like on SNL, like, you're good, people love you. Gosh darn it, right? You were good to them. You loved them. You poured into them. You gave to them when their own family wouldn't. You kept them together. You gave them places to live. You hid out future. Girl, she did a lot for this one, okay? You did a lot. And so when that happens, take it. That's the most ideal situation. Time apart, self work done on the other party's behalf, your own personal spiritual work done. And then what Monique did was she held space for her. She was just receptive. And the girl, because she'd done her own work, did something that I thought was interesting. She wasn't invasive. She wasn't like, we're going to have to be friends now that we did this. She came in like with an air of humility. Truly, she was bowing and scraping. She was like, listen, babe, you don't even need to open this email. I know it. She was Cat Williams. It was hilarious. She was like, you don't owe me nothing. But I just got to tell you that the Lord Jesus Christ said, if I don't apologize, girl, it's the lakes of fire. Now, you and I know that that's not the reality, but that was what motivated her. So we're not going to knock it. I love that her evolution came through understanding that what I do to the most of them, I do to the least of them too. Do not take for granted those people that mean the most to you and treat them like the least. They don't deserve it. In any case, so that's the best scenario of the block spin. Now let's move on to one that's a little trickier because they're related to us, the family block spin. So let's say you have a falling out with a family. Now this is notorious if you're from this country of America where I am in. Around the holiday seasons, there's usually some family member that you will see on the news that's ended up hurt, shot, punched, hit with a plate, hit with a turkey leg, something, okay? It's America. This is America, right? There are guns in the area, and there's also turkey legs if you want to not hear it from Uncle whoever over there, right? So that's the thing that can happen. Now, we all know that we have been immersed in families that are rampant with narcissistic crazy people. Okay, hello empath, welcome to world.
Absolutely.
Hello starshine. The world says hello. Okay, so this is our lot in life, and usually if you are an empath, you dealt with it to some degree, somebody that was some level of emotionally irresponsible with you, and it causes these new lessons where we work it out in other relationships. With family, what do you feel about boundaries and family? Because I certainly have a take on it, but what do you think?
Again, I feel like the time definitely plays a factor into it, and maybe distinguishing if this person is family or if this person is just more so a relative. And then I think with that, as like maybe you can determine how much energy and effort or space and time or compassion that you should give to that person in your family. So if you really have been seeing highs and lows and see that you can work through something that really triggered and was like a sense of betrayal, then absolutely I would allot it. But also, you won't forget what happened, and things may not always go back to what they were. And I think you have to be okay with that too, and understanding that whatever happened has cultivated a different type of relationship that's not the same as it was before. And it might take more work too.
It may take more work. You always, as far as I esteem, can just say no to family. You can. And I feel like as you grow up into your empathhood, into your adultiness, whatever stage or age you find this video at, we have rolling epiphanies about our families from the moment we're here to the day we cross over. I remember realizing the fragility of my mother as she's aged. I remember realizing when she lost that infinite strength and ability to bounce back in a way that I once had just associated with her as being par for the course. I didn't think that she had to pull it from somewhere. I didn't realize that she was a human who cried tears over my father and his abuse and what felt like rejection. I started to realize her humanity. She wasn't just my mother. And so, but my mother is not a narcissist, so that's an easier thing for me to have compassion. And that doesn't mean everything was perfect, but what it does mean is we all have varying dynamics regarding our families and who we've loved. And if you are dealing with someone who has mental illness, as I did have a father who did have mental illness and was a narcissist, it does shape the way that you move forward. But what I've learned too with having adult relatives that I've had to put boundaries up with is that this has been such a powerful lesson. You have to love them. You have to love them. And when I say you have to, you are not obligated, but loving them, even if they've done something, is what we're striving for. Is just basic humans, even if they were not related to you, right? You do not have to let them in your space. You do not have to let them rattle your cage. If they are, and you feel like you've got the chutzpah, you're using that throat chakra, as I love for you guys to do, and you want to say to them, I see your bullshit and I call you, and I raise you with some empath boundaries, you can do that. And I have videos here on how to. Or you can do the path of least resistance, because sometimes some of these people are your mothers and your fathers, these very close knit, beyond just, the peripheral family. This is a nuclear family. And so it's like, how do you navigate when that's going on? There are a couple of therapists I'm going to recommend you guys to. I'm in retrograde, and let me tell you, my Gemini rising has been living her worst life with this retrograde. It's in a fire sign as well, and I cannot talk at all. I've spoken a whole new language over the last few weeks. But the crappy childhood fairy is one of them that's fantastic. And there's another guy, and I'm going to put his name into the community pour. But he's very common. He does a lot of role plays about how to deal with narcissistic parents and family members and whatever. Now let's talk about the spinning of the block of that. Let's say they come back. Now a narc will rehoover you, so you have to make the differentiation to what's happening if it's a family member or whatever. But let's say they come back and they want to be better. Then you still keep your guard up. I am working with someone right now. I have dear friends right now that are going through this, that have had like siblings that have come back in their life that they put strong boundaries up about, and they're watching with the eye. You know how you have that good eye on them? It's like, oh, okay, you're back. It's been a few years. We tipped those. They hit a couple of the markers of what makes it a sanctioned block spin, right? But they still are treacherous. They still are deceitful. They still are duplicitous. They're still not honest with themselves. And I think that's a key thing that I hadn't put down energetically in my notes, but I think that that's pivotal. The person that's spinning the block needs to be honest with themselves. Even if they're spinning it for bullshit, you should be able to discern that. That's not on you to say, like, are they allowed to come back? And you don't have to be the full judge of their character, but they need to at least be honest, because we will talk about the third one coming up here, which is romance. And I would dare say that the person was not honest with themselves, but they were still wanting to spin the block. Okay. Now I've had people that have been honest with themselves that have been like, yeah, I fucked it up. I backed this up. And when someone does that, I'm all ears, because that's real work. We all fuck it up. When someone comes back and they're not taking accountability, what are you doing here, sir? Ma'am, y'all's, them, theys, whomever, okay? So with family, take your boundaries. It's okay for you not to be in there every day in space. Love them as much as you feel guided to. But the thing that I would ask you to empower yourself with, especially with family, is letting them know that you see them. This is not the time to turn into an ostrich and bury your head in the sand. The way that you defend yourself, empath, is to speak up. Because even if they are a full narc that's never going to not be capable of narking, they will know that you see them. They have been met with a strong empath, and that in and of itself at times will be a deterrent for the behavior. Nothing really deters them. They are the cockroaches of our psychological species. They're always going to be here being nuts, but we are here as the combating angels for their shenanigans, okay? So speak your truth. If you see Uncle so-and-so, and for those of you guys, I know it's YouTube, so they don't like to talk about this, but if you are dealing with sexual issues or any kind of things of that nature that have happened to you, sexual abuse, incest, all of that stuff, you don't have to be around those fucking people. Fuck your mom who said it, fuck your dad who said it, fuck your uncle who said it. None of them. I know YouTube doesn't want us cursing, but I'm going to tell you, I feel so strongly about that. This never needs to be monetized. You need to know. You do not have to be around those people that portray those abuses on you. And especially in our community, in our culture, it's definitely been a thing where it was like, shut up and just say hi to Uncle Willie at the whatever, Aunt whatever at the whatever. And you were made to feel like you were the issue. And so for whoever's here that needs to hear that, you don't have to be in that room with them at all. And it doesn't matter if that hurts your mama's feelings, if she's guilt tripping you, if it hurts your daddy's feelings. I don't care if it is your daddy, okay? I'm talking to someone Southern here. I don't care who it is. You do not have to be in the presence of people that have abused you to that degree. This is not just a normal, we got into a disagreement. This is stuff that has affected your physical body, caused you autoimmune issues, caused you to have issues in other relationships. Protect your energy. All right. The third one is the one we all know, girl, the romantic block spin. You know what it is, that hey big head text that eventually always comes. Hey big head, what you doing, girl? I miss you. You know, I was thinking about you. Now, if you are on Twitter or Instagram or TikTok or any of the worlds, you will see a lot of memes with Future in it, because we know Future is like the notorious F boy. Like he is the you know, head F boy of F boys, and it's always him looking at his phone typing with the meme like, hey big head, you know, I was thinking about our possibilities, like whatever. Okay, so Momo's been having a block spin that's been delicious to watch. And it's also been educational. So I've been taking notes from the side of me that's a practitioner so that I could teach this to other women that are going through this. But I also have been really proud. I've been really, really proud because you have just knocked it out of the park, girl. You have killed this block spin. And girl, I'm not going to lie. As a friend, I was like, ooh, because, you know, we all have the ex. And so for my sweet Momo, the ex. Spun the ex. Y'all know the ex, the ex. So we all have that one that all of our friends know by one or two words, nicknames, or emojis. Okay, girls, and boys here too. Hi, Mr. Coochie Choc Choc. Hey, how you doing? So we all have that person, and Momo's person had the great audacity during cupcaking season of this last 2022 season. You know, when it's cupping season, you know, when it gets cold outside, he was like, he's turning it over, put the key in the ignition. He's turning it over. And he decided he wanted to spin the block, which I watched from a distance and I thought, this is interesting. So tell me first, how did you first feel? The reason I want to go through this way, because I think that in order for us to say they need to be honest with us, we should be honest with ourselves. There are a lot of feelings that happen when a block spin happens, yes? So let's be honest about that so that you're not caught off guard by any kind of euphoria, emotion, serotonin, or dopamine that's triggered by your old fixer man giving you a hit. If you're not out of the dark and there hasn't been enough time. First, tell me, how much time did it take for this block spin?
I'd say about a year and maybe 4 or 5 months or something like that. Almost a year and a half.
And how soon out of the relationship did you in fact know from your intuitive, empath, magical, cosmic angel soul that he was going to spin the block? This is an important question.
I'd say pretty much I knew that it was going to happen. It was just a matter of when it was going to happen.
Okay. But you were pretty sure, like immediately upon the exit?
Yes, and I mean, I don't want to like make it seem like it's being boastful, but I kind of feel like that's just the way relationships go. I feel like oftentimes when it ends, there is the potential of everybody, even including me. It's experiences that you've had in the past, and you're just coming back around to see what's good. Like, and it could be something, it could be nothing. So I kind of feel like it's almost always going to happen.
Okay. So I want you guys to be encouraged. I feel like, you know, like be encouraged, be of good cheer. Unto you this day, a block spin shall happen. For those of you that want that. Now, sometimes we can be in obsessive loops with the ex narcissist or the ex whomever. And so this is not for you that are still in the throes of the addiction of we just broke up. It's been 3.5 weeks. Come back and watch this video in like a year, girl, okay? I promise you it's going to make sense. And right now you're like, what? Block spin? How do I get it? You don't want it. Trust me. It's not what you think. So let's talk about that. Specifically with narcissists, because they do not evolve and change. Unlike Monique's friend from the beginning, she did some self growth and introspection. It still took her years. This was 4 to 5 years of an elapsing time, if I'm correct. This was
Mm-hmm.
not an immediate thing. So it took her living life and getting smashed by karma a few times and battered at that in order to come back. Now, exes come faster though than a friendship, because friendships, that's the whole series I could do. A bestie breakup will destroy your soul, and it's not something we all know it, but we don't really like talk about it. We just like grit our teeth and cry through it, but it's terrifying. But with the exes, excuse me, the romantic ones, specifically if it's heterosexual, the block spin can happen a lot faster, because what men are always seeking is comfort, which is ironic because the very reason they may have jettisoned you off or chose another thing is because you were too comfortable. And then they realize that that's exactly what they wanted. It wasn't because you were comfortable and boring, it was because you were probably majestic and interesting. And I can say that honestly. I know. I know, homie messed up. But what I will say even more so than that is he knows he messed up. Anybody that's spinning the block is swallowing their ego and their pride to do that, because you very well could be like, oh, thank you. It is shiny on this block. Please see yourself out. You know what I mean? So that just depends on where we are. This is why the first and most important component is time. How much time has happened? Because if Monique would have got the block spin a couple months out or a couple weeks out, what do you think would have been the different reaction?
Could have gotten me hooked or hooked right back into the situation, or it could have been worse, like in that sense. So,
Okay.
mm-hmm.
Could have been worse. So you need time. Why do you need time? You need time to heal. You need time to not be in love anymore. You need time to know how you feel or don't feel about the situation. You need time to assess it properly, what really happened. If it was a breakup between just the two of you, what happened? If there were other third parties involved, what happened? If it was the mama that was a third party or whatever, how were you not protected? How were things allowed and permitted? And that's one of the things that I did, is I reflected into all the ways, not just that I felt hurt, but where I dropped the ball or where I chose to tune out good intel that was coming to me. Let's talk about intel before a breakup. What are some of the ways that you noticed your life changing when this was a relationship not working for you?
Um, well, I pretty much tried to. I was in a relationship and there was a breakup that happened once. We broke up twice altogether. So the first breakup after that, I felt like we can try and do the work. We can switch things up, try and figure it out. But then I felt like the second time, the second breakup felt worse than the first breakup. And so
Message.
I didn't realize it until I did my own soul work and research and realized that with karmic relationships, if they're not supposed to work, it's going to become harder and harder every time. If the universe is trying to tell you like this is not for you, then you're going to stay in the situation until you realize this is not for you, and it doesn't get easier, especially when there's work for your soul to do. So if there's some work that you can't do while you're in a relationship, the universe is definitely gonna tower moment you right out the situation. Like, how did I get here? Because we stayed too long.
Yeah, we stay too long. I learned this lesson so many years ago, but Momo has so well articulated it. We stay too long. And when you start to outstay your welcome, you will notice that you'll have autoimmune issues, my sweet empaths out there. You will notice that you will have hair loss. You will notice that you will have issues regulating your sleep patterns, regulating your weight, up, down, either way. You could go either way depending on what you are slated for. And so you will be able to know that the relationship isn't working for you because your body will talk to you physically in every way. Your sexual organs, every part of you will tell you no, and it will start rejecting the connection with the person.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Okay. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's your autoimmune, hair falling out, loss of appetite, anxiety, stress, confusion, chaos. All these things happened, and you have to really start to see the signs, but it's hard to see them when you're in it.
Yes, that is really the hardest part, is identifying when you're in the trenches of the relationship, because narcissism or anybody that's toxic is there to confuse you. They don't want to give you clear answers, and even if you know that you're really well adept at asking for clarity, they're not giving it to you. You're not crazy. That's gaslighting. They're doing that purposely so that you stay in a state, excuse me, of confusion, but more importantly, you stay with them. Period. They just want you not to go.
Mm-hmm.
So they need you to be disoriented. But because we are so loved and so protected, we have an internal guidance system that's built in for us that lets us know run, 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 abort mission, abort. And I remember getting sicker and sicker and sicker physically when I never disclosed it to the toxic person. She did not understand to the depths and the levels that she made me sick. I mean that literally, allowing her energy in, allowing the toxic people that she chose to affiliate with that were low vibrational. Y'all, this is not a game. These are not just sweet empath words like, oh, elevate and find your tribe. It's actually a thing. There's a reason that we don't mingle with everybody. There's a reason that we have our moments of antisocialness. There's a reason that we gravitate towards our tribe, whether parasocially or in real life. And also, can I speak over you rewards for those of you that have been already in those trenches, that it's tribe time? Mm-hmm. Welcome in your tribe this year, in this year of change, with it being 23, adding up to 5. Welcome in changes in relationships. Welcome in relationships that are better than you've ever had. Why will they be better than you've ever had? Because you've given better than you've ever got. It's time for reciprocity this year for you. So I want you to stand on that and welcome that in your tribe, whether you meet them at the doctor's office, whether you meet them at the gas station, whether you meet them on the train, the L, the whatever. You are going to be running into people that are kindred spirits, that validate your existence, that see the world similarly, that in the way that you do. And I'm not talking about isolation and being in this one think tank where we don't have different diversity of ideas. Monique and I have very different ways of thinking, and she's really elevated my thinking because she does think differently than I do. But it's still iron sharpening iron in that regard. We both are bringing something to the table, and that's what you want to strive for. I strive for that with my bestie. I strive for that with other great friends and family members of my tribe that come to me. It's okay for you to vet your tribe. It's okay for you to know if someone is or isn't right for you. But I just want to speak that over you. The positive part. A lot of us have done the hard part now. Now say hello to new people and welcome them in. Okay, so back to the blocks and all of the spinnings that they do. The autoimmune issues and whatever. So that's a mayday for anybody out there. Obviously, I spent a long time on that. If someone's dealing with that, you're not crazy. You are actually being physically made affected. I want you to think of yourself as a dialysis machine. You're cleaning, okay? You are the kidneys, and we are the energetic kidneys. We are cleaning people all the time, unbeknownst to us. And if someone is purposely foisting toxicity, confusion, drama, triangulation, third parties, competition, and all that shit in your life, that is not our vibration, sweet empaths. It literally causes us to have a schism. It breaks us. It actually breaks our brain because we don't operate that way. Even when we're being low vibrational, we're like, fuck, that was low vibrational. I shouldn't do that. We check ourselves, or karma checks us really quickly. So when they are coming back around, if they've made you that kind of sick, you definitely need time. Okay, you cannot block swim with them in 1 month, 2 months, or 3. You will get right back into more toxicity. That's a mantra. Okay, so understand that. Now, if you've had enough time where you are not feeling stimulated like a drug, like a dopamine hit when they contact you, what did it feel like when he contacted you?
Circling back to the question from earlier. Basically, I felt I laughed. I thought it was entertaining. I thought I was validated. I was nervous. I just felt like the universe gave me the validation that was definitely in divine timing, I would say. A gratitude. I felt a lot of gratitude for how it happened and in the way it happened, and all of the styles, all of the skirts, all of the all of the way that it was still presented to me. I was grateful in the sense of I can really see growth. I can really see it. Evolution. I can see the other side of the smoke screen because the smoke's cleared up, the fog is gone.
Yes.
And to be able to be in real time after doing all of the soul searching and the research and the tears and the when am I gonna have my moment? All of the things, but knowing that we have to give ourselves that closure, and we can't expect someone else to give us the closure because at the end of the day, if you can't give yourself the closure of the relationship that you took apart in, you waiting for someone else to give you that closure, especially if they're toxic, it's never going to work out. You're never going to get it because they're never going to be accountable because they would never want you to have that.
Ever. They hate for you to have that. That's the one thing. It's the last thing, especially if you took your power back, especially if you started speaking the truth to your community, your friends, your family, whatever your community or whomever they may be, especially if you never gave them access, especially if they never got to touch that pum pum full of prestige again, they're pissed. They're pissed. So the one thing they're not going to give you is the reasons why. Girl, none of those reasons are going to come from them. Now, I will say that in your situation, he came, did he come with humility or did he come with projection? Also, I want to touch on skirt skirt. She said skirt skirt, so y'all don't know what that means, but it's so funny when you hear it, it's going to make all the sense. It's so funny. She sent me this meme of people dancing to like a police something or other, right? In any case, all you hear are their sneakers like hitting the pavement, skirt, 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 as they're dancing around. No one's saying anything. It's a really awkward moment, just like really hard dancing. Okay, so it's like step up to the streets, but in real life protest, right? And so she said that to me. She was like, "This is what the conversation felt like when old dude was spinning the block." Yes. And I was like, "Oh my gosh, why is that the most perfect thing I've ever heard for what it feels like?" It's narcissistic word salad. Let's put the descriptor on it. And it's actually in textbooks. It's a word salad that narcissists are fantastic for, or toxic people are fantastic for where they talk in circles. They don't say anything, but they said a lot of things. Skirt, 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 skirt. There is no real communication. There's no real understanding. And then you're even more confused. You're like, okay. So like, for example, her boyfriend would say, we broke up because I like butter. And you said you like only butter that's made from Amish people. It has to be hand rolled. He says he actually likes margarine. We're going to throw margarine in here just to make it fair. So now he calls back. He says, you know what? I now like that Amish butter that you liked. I did always really did like it, but I just was really a margarine aficionado and I felt like I should stay in the margarine lane. So she's like, so you do want the Amish butter now? Yeah. So what are you going to do with the margarine? Oh, I'm going to keep the margarine because I have already bought the margarine. I bought a lot of it. You remember I was obsessed. Lots of stocks in margarine. So I want to keep the margarine, but that margarine tastes like shit, man. You know it's made with oil and saturated, da 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 da. So all of that. And you're like,
I knew that. Yes.
I did. I'm a classically trained chef, which she is. And so, and she was like, I didn't know that was not going to fry right or melt right or give you any kind of sear. You can't brown margarine. No flavor.
You can just yellow.
It's just yellow. You want something that's really yellow? Margarine's it. It's margarine. Corn. So in any case, this is a conversation. He's like, yeah, but I do like Amish butter now. I also like margarine. I also am a fan of all saturated fats. So we could have mayo, avocado oil. I'm down with that. Maybe Miracle because sometimes you need sweet saturated fats. What the fuck are you saying? And that's what my point is. You all have had conversations like this. What she was really asking is, are you a butter person now? That's it? And he couldn't answer that because the truth is that he is not just a butter person. He wants all of the saturated fats. All of them, right? But a narcissist will have you caught up, and if they could get you in person, because old dude really made the play he was like, hey, the skirt's not working over the phone. I got to get her in front of me to remind her what they energy do. So be careful of a block spin when they come back around. If they can't get you via text, social media, and hey, big head, they will try, especially if you guys had good sexual chemistry, connection, or anything like that. Girl, what's going to be their go-to? And so tell me, sweet Momo, how did you resist that block spin? Because that's a tempting one. I don't know that I would have done it.
To see in person?
Right, the in-person block spin.
Well, let me first say how grateful, again, I am to be on the other side talking about this, because I'm going to be honest and say it's been a year and some change that it almost seemed like it wasn't coming. So it was one of those moments like, dang, all right, well, I've come to peace, come to terms. Even though I had my little cues up into the realm, like got some questions I need answers to. And I feel like the universe had this person come back to answer the questions that I had about the end of the relationship. Like, what were the reasons, X, Y, and Z. I got all of the information that I was asking for. And I also was able to take the objective point of perspective because I was outside of the relationship. So being able to see him doing the skirt with the word salad and the confusion, I can really say that being that I try to speak truth and to move with truthful intentions, that if that's what I'm giving out to this person and if I'm getting back confusion, then I know that it's an automatic, we're not on the same level.
Yeah.
If I don't understand what you're trying to convey to me clearly because you're not using your words or it's just word salad, then I know that you're not where you have not done the same work that I have for us to be able to then maybe even consider going to see each other in person. Well, it would be a phone call. See, that's where I would have said I would have thought about a phone call versus an impromptu meetup, because I feel like that's how they get you, is with the energy of just, let me just get you in my presence. And I just, just let you smell on me. And I was like, you're not even giving me truth for me to even say that could be a possibility. But but a year ago and some change, confusion, word salad. I know how to decipher word salad. I know word puzzles. I would have been in there trying to figure out where the answers to the questions were, knowing that it was because it was shenanigans to begin with.
Shenanigans. Pure actually shenanigans. Yeah. So one of the things that struck me with that is she said a couple of things actually really poignant. Has the other person done their work? Have they been doing it? Like her friend really did her work. And I could tell it as a practitioner. I could tell it as a former teacher. I could tell it as someone who was indoctrinated with Christianity from the time I came out of the wound. I could tell that I said the wound, that was Freudian. These woundings that were caused by these people cut deep. And the thing about it is they are wounded in having lost you. That's a message. I didn't expect to say that. I meant to say cut out of the womb. But what I mean by that specifically is I could tell that she was doing what needed to be done. She needed that. It was cathartic for her. And she owed Momo that. Here's the thing. These people steal your energy. If we're the dialysis machine and we're cleaning, sometimes we're not always volunteering for that job. For a lover, we volunteer. We step up, we'll hold space. What are the spots that are sore? I'll fix it. I'll kiss the boo-boos. That's what we do as lovers. And as friends, we do that too. A little bit of rehab as well. And for family, we'd like to think, but family usually are the ones that are kicking you in the stomach. I don't know why family's wild the way they are. So it's such an interesting challenge that we choose, because we choose our family. But in any case, if their person is not doing their work, then they can't really have access to you. And that's really what determines it. I had a situation, Versace, Gucci, y'all saw the video, where someone was demanding that I just talk to them because they're like, if we could just talk, we could work it out. No, if they could just talk to me, they thought they could like narc pimp slap me back into a subjugated and submissive reality. That's what she was really hoping for. And I wouldn't allow it. I took all my power back and I was like, not on my watch. But that was a short-term connection. So for the longer ones, it's tougher to outmaneuver the skirt, okay? Which is the bullshit word salad talking in circles that they do to purposely confuse you. And then also ask yourself, have they done their work? Are they really looking at what they did? Do they understand how they hurt you? Are they really sorry, or do they miss the benefits of you? If your poom poom is full of prestige, that's not just your sexual prowess. What makes our poom poom full of prestige? Go watch the video. It's the way we carry ourselves and the way we bless people's lives when we're in it. We raise their vibration. We add new things to them. We cause them to elevate. They start making more money. They look better. Meanwhile, we're depleted. Losing weight, gaining weight, losing hair, sewing in extra because the other one we had came. Like, it's a lot that we go through to make people better. So that's why I'm like, be very circumspect about your lovers, guys, because it's a little thing that I never used to think about. But until I started doing this work and watching it with people all over the world, from every race, religion, and socioeconomic background, we are all affected by sharing our energy with a lover or a partner. And so that's why it matters. The block spin matters because it does soothe your heart. So I'm always going to advocate that if you can get a block spun, take it. Even if they're giving you a Basura block spin, I know that if you're watching this channel, you've done your work and you'll be able to discern that. It's not going to be something that catches you blindsided where you're now caught back up. I would highly recommend, I don't give a damn how strong you are or how long you've been watching the channel. If you happen to go through one of these, and I don't care if it's the platonic, the familial, or the lover, block spins can't happen in the first 3 months. That's not a real thing. That's just y'all getting back together into the toxic cycle, okay? I'm nobody's like delineator of timelines because, we're all different, but I would dare say from just the work I've done with clients for many years now, the first few months, you're still far too vulnerable, okay? far too tender for that to be a thing where you can rationally dissect whatever manipulations may be trying to creep in. Because think, you're dealing with a desperate person too, who now knows that you were the plug, who now knows that your pum pum is heroin, who now knows that the way you loved them in whatever capacity outside of sexuality was the best nurturance and self-care they ever got. From any partner. So now it's double. This is why partners can become violent after breakups, because those people that are toxic like that can't self-regulate. You are the regulator. Mm-hmm. And so even if they like kick you out, push you away, treat you terribly, upon your genuine absence, left with whatever the choices that they had at Seven of Cups, y'all know what I'm saying, whatever they may have triangulated you with, they are despondently beside themselves because they're like, what have I done? The reason I would encourage you to allow the block spin is because secretly, can we talk? We all want it. But do they deserve it? That's an interesting thing. I would say her friend did deserve it. You say, that's interesting. Do they deserve it? What about do we deserve it? Oh, no, we, of course, deserve it because we put it out. But even if they don't do it in the way that you would envision, in the more conventional way, with a letter, with a phone call, text, whatever, then the universe will see fit that it is done for you. I received healing from reading a letter from her person. Does that make sense? Her bestie that had tried her. Healed the heart where my bestie had tried me. My bestie didn't have to call and say that. And again, I was stubborn. I was very stubborn. I was like, bitch, don't call me if you on fire ever. Don't call me from planet Mars, planet Rock, from the sun. Don't ever. However, that was me. But God still saw a way through tribal alignment to sneak in the healing that I needed. I needed that. I needed to hear those words very specifically that way in order for me to shed real tears and have one more release of forgiveness. Even though I thought I'd done forgiveness me 75 times already. I'm like, how much more forgiveness? This bitch never did none of this work. But we are held to a different standard, guys. So I had to forgive her again just a few weeks ago when I read that letter. And it snuck up on me. Sneaky, Miss Momo over here. And I was like, oh, you are a human. I don't know about your character right now. I would dare say it's still bizarre, but I'm not Jesus. But I do see that God is working on my heart. So allow the block spin in whatever way it comes. And let me tell you this, and this is like my final promise here. If you did right, you will get it. So even if it comes sneaky the way it came to me, or if it comes direct the way that it's come to Momo. And that's another thing to know about your chart too. I'll throw this in here quickly because we're almost out of time. Momo has a lot of stuff going on in her chart, which facilitates people. She's the karma card for people. So treat her well. If you do encounter her, go to her channel. Please be nice. It will come back to you in spades. So she's the karma card for people. She has, I believe 5 Scorpio placements. 4 Scorpio placements in her chart. 1 in the moon, so she affects the way that people feel. She's really the ultimate magician. You guys know this is like huge. Y'all that know my story know this is huge because y'all know I have Scorpio injury up and down. And I was triangulated with a Scorpio, and I had Scorpio bosses that were terrible. You'll hear me talk about that in the story I recorded this morning overlooking the chalet and the mountains out here. But I will tell you, Scorpios have been the bane of my existence. And this is not her primary sun sign, or I would have ran. And we've laughed about it. I was like, I would have run. I would have been like, absolutely not. But what I did do was I called in healing after I went through that. I actually sought out a Scorpio therapist. I ran into Scorpios by accident, but it was very much by design in order for me to not have hatred for Scorpios and to understand their complexity and their magic. Well, Momo traffics in her own magic. And what it means is it's really interesting. The professorial side of me, Miss Virgo's in there taking notes because I want to share this with you because I think you can replicate it if you're maintaining the stance. Now, you may not have 4 Scorpio planets, you don't have to be Momo, but what she's done is been passive but not aggressive. She's been assertive but not demanding. And in that, I've watched the universe send her block spins, paybacks, apologies, people taking levels of accountability that I've not seen it across the board from every spectrum that we talk about. People find their way back to her and they make things right, like from petty things that people she's friends with to this day, but little things, you know, we can just go off the track just a little bit. And instead of it just not being talked about, somehow they come with offerings of like, hey girl, you know, anyway, so you ready to go out? So like that. And I've been watching that happen for her. And I thought that was really interesting. Some of us all have charts that affect us differently. Sometimes you feel like I never get the apology. I watch Momo get it. But the thing about it is I don't find you to be thirsty, hungry, or demanding of it. She just like holds this very strong, grounded space. So I would highly recommend that to you, where she's like, I know I did right by them. And I've watched her choose not to go, how low can you go?
Off
Okay.
the deep end. Off the deep end. Because it just, There is that, oh, but it would feel so good just to stick it
Delicious.
right there.
Stick it, baby, stick it, baby,
But
stick it, baby,
it's
stick
like
it.
it's the temptation part, you know? It's like the universe says, okay, here's your block spin. What are you gonna do with it? There's two ways that you can handle it, right? What you do to them is your karma. What they do to you is theirs. So how you reacting and responding will basically kind of show, okay, this person has learned their lesson or has not. And then you'll feel the reasons as to what I do wrong. Don't worry. Don't worry. You'll figure it out the next test around. Next go around.
I don't have much to add after that. It's so well said. These are some of the amazing lessons, and I'm so grateful for you for. Momo has been teaching me a new way. Y'all know I'm on here, and I am like Shira. I'm fighting them all for you. We're slaying the nargs, no mercy. F them, F them, F them. You've heard my videos. But Momo has come in to bring a softer side, which is interesting because I was like, I'm doing fine. I'm fine. Fuck them, fuck them, fuck them. I'm fucking for you and fucking for me and fucking for them. Like, I felt like that was my ministry. And I think for a while, it certainly has been. There's been an an elevation here. Y'all, this Mercury. An elevation with the information of Momo. While I have moved in the ways that she's talking about, the way she does it is gracefully. But we know that every swan is still paddling underneath the water, but she is gliding across. And it's been really interesting to watch. It's been powerful. It's been transformative. Thank you. And it's caused me to have to evolve and actually be my channel's namesake, because I can't just sit in anger and bitterness. That's an interesting word for my personality type when we're talking about human design. And you guys have heard me talk about that a lot lately, and that has definitely been introduced by Momo, who was like cosmically sent in for me to level up. It's just so amazing. I'll talk about this really quickly as we have a couple more minutes here. Momo came out to assist me with a seminar. I made a video, so if you want to hear more about that, I was hired by the number one insurance company in the country to come out and do spiritual counseling. And Momo was watching me go through all of the processes with my personal assistant, getting the invoice right, getting ready. We flew out here, did all the things, and she got to be there. So tell me a little bit about your experience with that. I'm super grateful to have someone to share that with, because y'all hear me talk about stuff I do, but you don't see it. I'll put some video pictures that she actually took up on my community board when we get back in. Out here in the chalet, out in these mountains, there is no reception, girl. It's 1971 out here, for real. There's a landline upstairs because they're worried that we might, like, if it goes left, they want us to be able to call the people. But tell me a little bit about your experience with the workshop thing that we just did.
Oh, I thought it was so magical. I thought that everybody was, the people that asked you to come in, they were so welcoming for your presence and energy, and they were so accommodating and super sweet. And it was just really nice to see Miss Mona at work and literally just charm the pants off of so many people. And it was really, really nice to just see how literally God just says, you know, just be there and I got you. And just to see the magic flow, especially all the way, you know, out of town. It was really
not in our home tour for sure.
Right, we were really treated very well,
yeah.
and the universe conspired and made all things magic and everything smooth sailing, considering it was definitely Mercury retrograde.
Girl, and it graded on us with the flights at FFA shut down. I was in it. I was one of the 30,000 plus flights that was canceled with an 8-10 hour layover in Texas. Crazy. Crazy. Anyway, she got a small little one. You didn't get affected too badly, right? 45?
Yeah, 45 delay.
Anyway,
it worked out.
It worked out.
To work out that way.
She's been efficient and wonderful, and I'm super grateful. Welcome in your tribe. This is new tribe. This is someone that I would highly recommend you guys go check out. She is a travel high priestess. She's traveled all over the world. She has hiked the mountains with Asian angels. That's a real thing. There's a video and evidence about it if you're interested on her channel. She has backpacked through the world. She has ridden camels through the deserts of Morocco next to the pyramids. Bitch, she's my hero. She's my travel high priestess hero. Oh my God. This girl is amazing. Anyway, it's been really cool to kind of share my experience. I had always envisioned this, and I'll say this really quickly here. I'd always envisioned this. I'd envisioned that I'd be able to say to someone, hey, can you hop on a flight? I got a thing here, I got a thing there, and whatever. And Momo's got to accompany me to a couple of things where I was hired in to come and do work and facilitate workshops and stuff like that. So she's seen it from both ends of the spectrum, more laid back to like officially corporate, and the red carpet being rolled out. We went to a masquerade ball. I have my lashes on, y'all. Can you see these feathers? They're wild.
Can you show the lashes?
Let's get a look.
there we go. There it is.
Little laugh.
Oh my gosh, gorgeous.
So we like got all fancy and dressed up, full ball gowns, full kitted out, full magical corsets and things. I mean, we're magical. I will definitely try to put up a couple pictures of that. It's been a wonderful time. We were treated well. Anything you want to happen can be your life. Momo and I are both existing in realities. We both are life path number 3s, creative peoples, and we don't like to be tied down. Freedom is our portion. It's a big deal for us. Travel is a huge deal. She's fantastic at it. It makes me feel so safe. But beyond that, it's whatever you want, and that's what I want to leave you with. These were the lives we manifested. I knew I wanted it. I didn't know what it was going to feel like and look like when it arrived. And here I am sitting in it, and it's amazing and even better than I thought. We've been like in awe and in gratitude this whole weekend. Like we were at the magical hotel. Now we're at the chalet. Like this is it. We did it. But we both ordered lives that were very specific where people couldn't ground us. We refused, no matter how many blocks were spun, to go back and be in a place of settling. And we have pushed each one of us for a lifestyle reality where she can travel the world and jump on a plane. She's made magic around that in every single way. It always impresses me. And I've made magic where I am now paid to do the thing I was chastised for. And that is the power of standing in your truth, sweet empath, and never not believing in you. Q journey, don't stop believing. Just a small town girl, started from the projects, now we're here in a chalet. It's your world. Anything you want to do, you can have it. It is up to you. I love you so much. From Momo and Momo, we bid you adieu. Thank you for sharing time with us. We love you. Come back and join us next time. We'll continue to evolve together.